A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said, "I am the good shepherd. A good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. A hired man, who is not a shepherd, and whose sheep are not his own, sees a wolf coming and leaves the sheep and runs away, and the wolf catches and scatters them. This is because he works for pay and has no concern for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know mine, and mine know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I will lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. These also I must lead, and they will hear my voice, and there will be one flock, one shepherd. This is why the Father loves me, because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down on my own. I have power to lay it down and power to take it up again. This command I have received from my Father." The Gospel of the Lord. As Father mentioned, this is Good Shepherd Sunday. So the fourth Sunday of Easter every year, we have Good Shepherd Sunday. And in our 3-year cycle, we go through chapter 10 of John's Gospel. And this year, we're in the middle of chapter 10. And this year, I'd like to focus on the fact that he is a good shepherd. Jesus says in the Gospel that he's comparing himself to someone that's hired, someone that's just hired to watch the sheep, that abandon the sheep at the first sign of trouble or some sort of enemy. But Jesus says 2 times, "I am the good shepherd." And this is one of the 7 I am statements unique to John's Gospel. It is reminiscent of God's self-identification in the Old Testament when he says, "I am." And clearly, Jesus connects his identity to that of God. Also in this gospel, Jesus says 5 times, "I will lay down my life for my sheep." He also says that I can take it up again showing his divinity. And it's also pointing forward to his resurrection. It is the fact that Jesus is willing to lay down his life for his sheep, to die for them, to let us know how much he cares, how much he really loves his sheep, how much he really loves us. Also in this gospel, Jesus said that there's other sheep that are not part of his flock that he also cares about. He's speaking of the universal call for all people to come to Jesus. No one is outside his flock. He cares for all of us. This image of a shepherd is throughout the Bible. Abraham, Moses, David, some of the greatest names in the Old Testament at some point were shepherds. And it was David that mentioned that it was when he took care of his flock that he had to fight off bears and lions, which gave him the skill, the courage, and the willingness to go face Goliath and defeat him. Even the word pastor that we use for our priests is the Latin word for shepherds. And if you were here on Easter when Bishop Kelly was here, you would notice he had the crozier that had the hook. That is like a shepherd's hook to remind the bishop, but also to remind us that our bishop is our shepherd. I was listening to Bishop Robert Barron talk about this good shepherd idea, and he said that Pope Francis mentioned that good shepherd has 3 components. The good shepherd goes before his sheep, the good shepherd is among his sheep, and the good shepherd is behind his sheep. So what does this mean? A good shepherd first leads his sheep. When I think about the good shepherd leading, that Psalm 23 always comes to mind. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leads me to green pastures. To still waters he leads me. He guides me down right paths. And I love that image that you can think of as him carefully leading his sheep from place to place. But the sheep have to place their trust that he will lead them and don't need to worry. He has their best interest in mind. He knows where he should take them. He knows where they need to go. He knows what's right for them. But we have to place our trust that he will be leading us in the right direction. Several years ago, I heard a story on Good Shepherd Sunday that really kind of stuck with me in this idea. And it goes like this. The farmer, he had a horse. And his horse, his only horse, ran away. And his neighbor said to him, "Oh, what terrible luck." The farmer said, "Good luck or bad luck? I don't know." A few days later, the horse returned with 3 other wild horses. The neighbor said, "Oh, what good luck." And the farmer said, "Good luck or bad luck? I don't know." A couple days later, his son was trying to break one of the wild horses, was kicked off, and broke his leg. The neighbor said, "Oh, what bad luck." The farmer said, "Good luck or bad luck? I don't know." About that time, war broke out. And they came to the town and drafted all the young men to go into the army. But because the young man had a broken leg, he was not drafted into the army and remained home and safe. This story reminds us that sometimes we may wonder, when things are going bad, where's the Good Shepherd? But it's often in hindsight that we really see what's going on. So we have to trust when our Good Shepherd is leading us, even when we don't know where he's leading. That second idea of being among the sheep is that a Good Shepherd really knows his sheep. And to know your sheep, you have to spend time with them. He knows the cries that they make, whether they're in pain, just making noise, or if they're scared. Pope Francis has a famous saying that he says that the shepherds need to have the smell of their sheep, that they're so much with their sheep that the smell of the sheep rub off on them too. And this is important as leaders in the church, that we remember we have to be among our people to know what they're going through, to truly minister to their needs. And finally, there's that idea of being behind the sheep, being attentive to those that are falling behind, caring for those that are sick, to notice when one wanders off, to be watching for any dangerous animals that may try to attack them, to not let any of them be lost. Now, all of us are shepherds at times. So this applies to all of us. As parents, we are responsible to shepherd our children and grandchildren, to lead them, to be with them, to know what's going on with them, and then to make sure that nothing happens to them, to protect them. But this also applies to friends, family, brothers and sisters of faith. It applies to many instances of our life. The question is, are we going to be a good shepherd or not? Are we leading people to good places? Are we being Christ-like examples? And do we lead others down good paths or bad paths? When we're among them, do we feel superior to others? Do we look down at them? Do we make fun of others? Or do we use uplifting and encouraging words? And then, are we behind others? Do we look for those and care for those that are being forgotten, picked on, wandering away, and then go after them? Do we care enough to go after those that are heading for danger? Do we put others in front of ourselves? And lastly, sometimes we're the sheep. Now, The fact that we're called sheep is not a compliment. Sheep are not that smart. Sheep will just follow the herd. I've been told that if a sheep falls off the cliff, more than likely the other ones are going to follow right behind and fall off the cliff or into the pit. They don't have any real natural defenses to fight off enemy. They require much care. But a good sheep knows his shepherd's voice. Do you recognize the shepherd? Do you read the scriptures to know him? Do you pray to him? Do you trust him? Do you remember Jesus, our good shepherd, laid down his life for you because he loved you that much? Brothers and sisters, may we remember we have a good shepherd. And may we strive to be good sheep. But also, may we follow his example and be a good shepherd to those around us.